Hi guys, doing something a little bit different today. I'm sitting in the car while Arya and Steve have their walk in the forest. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of an update about our family. We've had a few questions about how things are doing. So yeah, it's been a tough old time for us these last few months actually. Let me think. Back in April, around Easter time, Steve was assaulted by a neighbour's son. He was just minding his own business, walking around. We lived down a long driveway with about 6 houses, and we all get along together, and we just pop in and say hi to each other, and take vegetables out of each other's gardens, things like that. It's a very friendly neighborhood. And our neighbor's son started yelling at Steve and accusing him of things that he hadn't done, and Steve just decided to walk away, which obviously was the right thing to do. And the guy smacked him in the back with his fist. The guy, he's much younger than Steve, and Steve is a retired older guy, so not exactly a fair fight. So Steve came back and told me what happened. We didn't call the police straight away. We thought we'd talk to the young man's mum and see if we could sort it out that way. In the end, we had to make a police report because it was quite unsettling and quite scary actually. The first couple of nights, every time I walked past our back door, I imagined he was there staring at us, and I was waking up in the night to every little sound that I could hear, and I thought he'd come to get us. So, and Steve was in a very similar way. Anyway, thankfully that's all resolved now. The young man has gone back to where he's from. He was just visiting his mum, so it's nice to have the neighborhood back all settled again. And we weren't even letting Arya, usually when we've had a walk or something like that, she'll come back and she'll run around and say hi to the neighbors and everything, and we weren't doing that because we were scared for her safety as well. But everything's back to normal now, so that's great. Feel safe again in my little community there. Then what happened? Then after that, Steve has been having trouble with his shoulder, and you probably know, if you know Steve, he has essential tremors. So it's called essential tremor, and basically his hands shake and he can't control that. It gets worse with age. He has trouble gripping things or writing, those kinds of things. Eating with a knife and fork. He won't mind me telling you this because, that's just part of who he is. Anyway, we've noticed that's been getting worse recently as well. Stress doesn't help either, so that's gotten worse since he was assaulted. And he already had a sore shoulder, and it's just not going away before that happened. So he's been having lots of tests. Lots and lots of tests. He's had x-rays, he's had MRI. We're driving to another city on the weekend for him to have some kind of nerve test. He has to go to a different hospital for that. And so far, we don't know what it is. We don't know what's causing the extra shakes or the pain. So they haven't come up with anything yet. So, I mean, he's had the shakes before, and basically doctors have told him there's nothing he can do about it. So at least now they're looking into it. What else has been going on? And then my mum a couple of weeks ago, she fell over and she broke her elbow, of all places. So we were worried about her, and she's been in the hospital, but she's out of the hospital now, and she's starting recovery, so that's all good. So there's been so much going on, and we've had really bad weather the last few weeks, a lot of rain, and our house is very old as it is, but we've noticed there's a few leaks coming from the roof now, so we'll probably have to get a new roof, and we don't have any money to get a new roof, so that's very stressful. I've noticed actually there's been a few creators talking about mental health, so since I've got a little bit more time, they're going to be a while yet from their walk. I'll talk about that as well. I'm not sure if I'll keep this as part of the video. I'll just see how I go. But if you're still watching, thanks for watching. I hope that cleared up some of the questions you guys have had. If you're not interested in mental health, or it might trigger you, feel free to stop here. I won't be offended. That's fine. And just so you know, Arya probably won't be on any of this video, and Arya is the one in the family. She's absolutely fine. She's happy. No problems with Arya. Okay, yeah, I've seen some videos about mental health recently from content creators, and I, being a sufferer of mental health problems, I find it very helpful to listen to others and what they go through. So I thought that talking about mine might be able to help some other people. So, and it explains a bit about our situation. Steve has recently retired, and before that he was out of work, I think, for about 10 years due to mental health problems. And the last time I worked was 6 years ago. And again, I left due to mental health issues. So at the moment, I'm recently last year, at the beginning I was diagnosed with panic attacks, depression and anxiety. And just last year I was diagnosed with PTSD, which I kind of had a feeling that I had, but it's quite shocking when someone actually tells you that's right, you do have PTSD. So I've been going to counselling every week for a year now, and I feel like I'm making a lot of progress. It got to the stage with me where I couldn't leave the house without feeling afraid, anxious. Like I wouldn't, even a few years ago, I wouldn't have been able to go out for a walk with the dog, with Arya, without feeling anxious, or walk around the supermarket, or a big store, anything normal. I felt like I just wasn't normal. I just felt the only place I was safe was in my home. But I feel like I've made a lot of big changes this year, and therapy is really helping. So if you do suffer from anxiety and you can get help, take it, because it does help. You have to do the work, like I feel, and you have to find a therapist that can help you, because I've had therapy before and it hasn't really helped me, or it's only helped me for a short while and then I've gone back to how I was before. Whereas the lady that I'm seeing now, I think she's explained it in a way, she's found a way, that techniques that I can use that actually help me. So that's been great. So I'll go backwards now to all this started. Oh, I thought that was Steve. When I was in my early 30s, I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I started when I left the house. I started having palpitations. I said, suppose you'd call, sweating. My heart was pounding in my chest. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was having a heart attack. And that's how it started for me. And then I couldn't sleep because I was worried about what was wrong with me. And I went to the doctor, and yeah, they put me on some medication and gave me a little bit of therapy. And yeah, I was all right for a while there. But it didn't explain why this was happening to me. And I think that's been a big problem, is that when you go to a doctor, they try and fix you. They try and give you medication to stop the symptoms. But obviously you're having those symptoms for a reason. And at the time, I had no idea. Now that I'm out of the situation that I was in, which was, I don't want to shame anyone or anything like that, but all I'll say is that I was in a bad relationship, and there was a lot of abuse. It wasn't physical abuse. It was more emotional, controlling behavior, that kind of thing. So I don't really want to go into the details because, yeah, that's in the past, and I'm dealing with that now. But yeah, basically I changed. I had to act a different way. I had to be a different person than I actually was. I had to do what I was told and be where I was supposed to be when I was told, and everything I did was, I was monitored. I mean, obviously he will look at the situation in a totally different way. Like when I left the relationship, he said, "Why are you leaving? I treat you like a princess." So he would obviously have a totally different, would disagree with this. But I've spoken a lot about the relationship in therapy, and yeah, they've told me it was a controlling, abusive relationship. Coercive control. Yeah, and there's more, but some things are private, and I don't want to go into those details. It's very difficult to talk about, even after all this time. But I was very young, and I thought that this was a normal relationship. In the beginning, I didn't. There were warning signs. I was thinking, oh, that's not right. Something happens, and I'll think, oh, that's weird. But when you're in that kind of relationship, they make you think that you're the strange one, that you're the one who's doing things that are strange, or everybody does this, or, there was a lot of name calling, a lot of shaming. Oh, you're not like, call you names and say horrible, horrible things. And I said I wasn't going to go into the details, didn't I? I'll just give you an example. Basically, I was told that I was unlovable, and that if I ever left him, he would leave me penniless, and no one else would ever be able to put up with me. I'd never get another relationship because of no one would be able to put up with my moods. I was about 20 kilos lighter than I am now, and he used to call me the Michelin Man, even though I wasn't overweight. So you can, I think that's enough to tell you. And also, if I go out to the shops or something like that, he'd say, "Oh, I see you've been to Whitcoulls today. What did you buy?" So, or if I was out, if there was like a function at work at lunchtime and we were all having pizza for lunch, he would come to my work and he'd take me away to have lunch with him instead of me bonding with my workmates. And he thought all my friends were boring, and we always hung out with his friends. And I'm probably sharing way too much information now, but once you get going, that's what happens, isn't it? And if he ever sees this video, or anybody who knows him sees this video, he'll know who he is, and he can't deny that he said those things to me and done much worse things. So as you can imagine, if you're going through that, we also had some very nice times, don't get me wrong. But if you're dealing with that on a regular basis, you tend to question who you are as a person. It brings down your self-confidence, and I don't think I'd say I was a very confident person already. You start to believe, if someone tells you on a regular basis that you're worthless and that you're unlovable, that you aren't that good looking, that, you know, these horrible things on a regular basis, you start to believe them. And now I understand that that's why I was so anxious about leaving all the time, is because, you know, you think people are going to look at you and think, oh, look at that worthless piece of shit, you know. Or you don't want to be around people because you'll think, oh God, I wonder what they think of me. Anyway, I'm out of that. Thank God I am no longer in there. And until I met Steve, I actually thought that that's what relationships were like. I mean, I'd had relationships before, obviously, but they weren't the same. It's not the same as being in a relationship for years and years and years, is it? So, yeah. And now that I see what it was like, I understand those women that say they're getting beaten up every day, and people say to them, oh, why don't you just leave? I say to myself all the time, why didn't I just leave? But he said to me, if you leave me, you won't have any money. Nobody will love you. I didn't have any friends anymore. I felt like there was nowhere I could go. I felt like this was it. This was my life. We didn't have any children together because he already had children, and he said I wouldn't be a good mother. So much. No wonder I need therapy. Anyway, so where was I going with all this? Basically, I was having a lot of panic attacks, and I was very depressed. I still get depressed, and I still get anxious today. But what I'd like to say, you know, some days I feel amazing, and then other days it's very hard to get out of bed in the morning. Like, I just want to stay in bed. Some days I feel like, I say to Steve, some days I feel like I just need to stay in bed for 6 months to recover from just ordinary everyday things. For me at the moment are a lot. And sometimes I just need to recover. The good news is that I met Steve. Thank God for Steve, because Steve has his own issues, and I won't talk about those because that's his business. But he has showed me that it's okay to be me, and that I am a good person. He's reminded me that I am a lovable person, that I am a good person, that I'm a fun person. He supports me. You know, like today I didn't feel like walking in the forest because I feel a bit down. And that's fine. I just sit in the car or write in my journal. And he walks the dog. Whereas in my other relationship, it would be, oh, what's the matter with you? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do that? You're just being silly. But I think because he's had similar issues, he understands. And if you are going through mental health struggles, anxiety, depression, I've had suicidal thoughts in the past, it can get better. You need to talk to somebody, and you need to talk to, it doesn't have to be a professional. You need to talk to someone who will listen, who won't judge you. And on the other side of that, if someone is talking to you about their mental health, I would say just listen. You don't have to fix them. You don't listen. Try to be understanding, because there's a lot of mental health stigma, and I think people are afraid. I remember one time I said to my doctor, when she, they have the little checklist you have to go through, and the bottom one question is, have you had suicidal thoughts in the last 2 weeks? And I actually said to her, if I tick this box, they're not going to take me off to the loony bin, are they? Because, you've got to be honest. You need to find someone to talk to. Or if you're listening to someone who has mental health issues, listen. That is a huge thing. Just to be able to, me just sitting here talking to the camera, there's nobody listening unless I decide to upload it later. I can feel myself getting calmer because it's coming out. You need to get all that out. And then I think it's very important not just to talk to someone you trust, but to get help. And it depends on how bad your mental health struggles are. Some people just need a little bit of help to get them through something they've been through. I feel like I've needed a lot of help because I've been through a lot, and it's just been continuous for many, many years. So now I have the support of Steve. I have the support of my doctor. I found a really good doctor. Don't be scared to swap around and find doctors who will listen to you. And I think that doctors tend to just put people on medication these days, which can be helpful. But my doctor believes that the medication is just a tool, and so do I, because you can't suppress all these things. They have to come out. So yeah, I would talk to someone you trust, then get some support. Even if it's calling a mental health line or texting. I text sometimes when I need help. I text the mental health line. And I don't know what it's like in other countries, but in New Zealand you can get sessions with a therapist through your doctor. There's also help in New Zealand if you have been sexually assaulted. You can get counselling from the ACC. So there is lots of help available. It's just a matter of finding the help that you need and having someone to talk to in the meantime while you wait, because my experience is that you need to wait because a lot of people need help with their mental health at the moment. I think I was reading somewhere that mental health is the third highest illness in the developed world at the moment. Anyway, Steve's back now, so I'll leave it at that. I hope you didn't mind me going on today. Arya's back. There's her little tail in the background. Thanks for listening, and we shall be back to normal Arya videos soon. Bye.